Today, we're diving into something that a lot of us feel but can't quite put a name to: intellectual loneliness. It's this really strange kind of isolation that, you'll see, has almost nothing to do with how many people you have in your life.
So, let me ask you this. Have you ever been at a party, maybe surrounded by friends, and everyone's chatting and laughing, but you just feel this deep, unshakable sense of disconnection, like you're on a totally different wavelength? If that sounds even a little bit familiar, then you are in exactly the right place.
Okay, so here's the absolute key to understanding this. We're all taught that loneliness is social, right? It's a lack of people. But intellectual loneliness, that's a whole different beast. It's a lack of understanding. It's a feeling you can have even when you're with the people you love most.
And there's actually a term for this: cognitive isolation. It's not about being physically alone. It's about your mind feeling completely stranded. It's like you're broadcasting on a unique radio frequency, and everyone else's dial is just stuck somewhere else.
So how does this actually work? Well, a really active mind tends to shape everything about you differently. What you find funny, what you're curious about, the kind of conversations you crave, and that's where the struggle comes in. You can be right there, with friends, with family, but you feel completely and totally detached because your mind is just somewhere else entirely.
And this really gets to the heart of it. People see you, they hear the words you're saying, but the real you, the complex, messy, fascinating world inside your head, that feels completely invisible.
The antidote to this feeling is something called mental resonance. Think of it like a good Wi-Fi connection. You send out a signal, a complex thought, or an idea, and you need that signal not just to be received, but to be understood and then returned with that same level of depth. That's real connection. You see, your brain literally needs that stimulation, that deep back and forth to feel connected to others. But the struggle is that you find yourself constantly having to simplify your ideas. You have to dumb it down just to be part of the conversation. And doing that over and over again, it's exhausting, and it can leave you feeling incredibly empty. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly captures the feeling. It's not that the single note is bad or wrong. It's just not the music your brain is built for. You're wired for the entire symphony, and when you can't share that, it's profoundly isolating. And this leads us to another huge piece of the puzzle: the complexity mismatch. This is all about the way you think. Your mind is thinking in these complex, interconnected layers, but the conversation happening around you is moving in a straight, simple line.
For example, you see how A doesn't just cause B, but it also influences C and has this ripple effect on D. But when you try to explain that whole web, you get blank stares. Your point just gets missed. And what do you learn from that? You learn that it's just easier to stay quiet. And the result of all that is this. You start performing. You put out this edited, watered-down, diluted version of yourself, all in an effort to fit in. You learn to hide the most complex parts of you because you think they won't be accepted.
Now, it is so important to get this next part. This isn't just you being picky or needy. It's a biological reality. It's called high cognitive stimulation needs. It's a genuine neurological requirement for your brain to get complex, challenging input to feel okay, to even release dopamine, the feel-good chemical.
Seriously, think about it like this. Your mind needs big ideas the same way your body needs food. And when it doesn't get them, it starves. And that starvation doesn't feel peaceful. It feels like actual physical pain. It feels like agonizing boredom.
And let me just say this as clearly as I can. This is not arrogance. This is not you thinking you're better or smarter than anyone else. It is simply a neurological mismatch. That's it. It's a mismatch between the fuel your brain needs and the fuel that's available.
Okay, last big concept here. It's something called hyperconnectivity. This is that tendency for your brain to see patterns and connections everywhere. You're constantly linking ideas and seeing potential outcomes that other people just seem to miss. Your brain is basically a pattern-finding machine that's always on. And boy, can that create a disconnect. You might be sitting at dinner silently spiraling about some deep existential threat while everyone else is just talking about their weekend plans. You can literally feel like an alien just observing the human race.
So what you're feeling, it's not just being a little awkward. It's a form of existential isolation. You feel alone because you are carrying the weight of an awareness, a perception of the world that the people around you just don't seem to share.
So, let's pull all this together. Let's do a reframe.
That feeling of social awkwardness? Let's call it cognitive asymmetry. Those recurring relationship problems? Maybe it's just a frequency issue. And the biggest one of all, what you've probably internalized as some kind of personal flaw, is actually just the sign of a complex, high-functioning mind.
And if you remember one thing from all of this, please let it be this idea. You don't feel lonely because there's something wrong with you. You feel lonely because your mind is a deep ocean, and you're surrounded by people who are only comfortable swimming in the shallow end. Which brings us to the real question, doesn't it? The goal isn't just to find more people to stand next to. The real journey, the real challenge, is figuring out how to find your frequency and then finding the others who are listening.